soft, making decisions like they've been survived. Evil intentions, refuse to respect, pulling the trigger to serve and protect. What's the blame? Let's get real. Some find the answer in a cold blue steel. Nobody wins, no such a shame is true. That ain't no good for me or you. For me or you.
Yeah. That was straight up rocking. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend.
Hey, is it better this way or this way?
There you go. That way.
There you go.
That's
All right,
perfect.
let's see if I can get this thing sitting right. There we go. How's it going, guys?
Looking
Going
good, man.
great, man. How's your Vegas residency going?
Man, it's been freaking awesome. You know, we knew we were going to have 5 shows in the same venue, so we wanted to really put some work into digging into our catalog and being able to really bring back some songs that we haven't played in many years and spice up each set a little differently. So
Do you play a different set every night, or have you swapped up the songs throughout it so far?
yes, yeah, we've got 3. Whoa. Oh shit. Oops.
Woo!
Hey, sorry guys.
Awesome.
Hey, we're live, people.
That's right.
Yeah, we've got the 6 or 8 definite hit songs, quote unquote, big video single hits that we had in the 80s, like Modern Day Cowboy, Love Song, the fan favorites, What You Give, Signs, Love Song, and Little Susie's another one. We play those every night, but then we rotate it. Like we opened up with Lady Luck, which is a song we haven't played since 1989. We opened our first show with that. Our second show, we opened up with Change in the Weather, which we haven't played since 1992. We dug deep and got a song off our first album called We're No Good Together, which is a real soulful R&B sounding song that really showcases Jeff's voice.
Right.
And
how lucky you are, man, that Jeff Keith looks and sounds the same as you do. It's pretty remarkable, I have to say, that you guys look the same as you did in 1986. You guys sound as good as you did then. My first, I know I came up and told you this once. I saw you at the NAMM show like eight years ago, and I ran up and fanboyed out and had to tell you, hey, Frank, I'm Erik from Stephen Pearcy's band, and I just want to tell you that Tesla's the first band I ever saw in an arena, and it was opening for Def Leppard, and that was my first experience, like in an arena seeing rock bands, was seeing you.
Oh, that's cool, man. Thanks, Erik.
What do you remember about that tour? Like, it was in the round. Like, you must have been ecstatic to have been offered that back then.
Yeah, that was one of the first in the round, in the center of the arena type tours that happened. That was the brainchild of Peter Minch. Peter Minch is a legendary manager who managed AC/DC during the Back in Black era, and him and his partner Cliff Bernstein had a company called Q Prime, and they were genius managers, man. They were really responsible for a lot of the things that pushed us as a young band to, for example, they would listen to our demos that we would make and really be critical and tell us, hey guys, this song sucks. This song is great. We want to hear more of that. And, would give us the philosophy of make a great album from start to finish. Every song, all killer, no filler. So going back to that, to their ideas about being in the round, they helped us come up with the 5-man acoustic jam thing. We were young, man. I was only 19 at the time. So I was talented. I was young and crazy on a guitar and wrote songs, but I didn't have any vision or anything. They had the vision. They were the driving, visionaries of what we were doing. And me personally, I was just so young, just going along with it and freaking playing my guitar,
Yeah. Well, my memory was, it was in the round. Now, what was awesome about that is usually, unless you had a lot of money.
A tangent on a total different subject. Go ahead. Yeah, it was in the round and it was freaking huge. And we were on tour with Def Leppard for a year.
Right.
We went to Europe with them and it wasn't in the round. And then we came back to the States and Hysteria hadn't quite broken yet. And Peter Minch had the idea of doing an in the round thing. And I'll let you speak, but what you were asking me, what do I remember? I remember the stage riser went down completely flat and they gave us the whole stage and we ran around that thing like crazy.
It's a lot to do. It moves throughout the show, but I don't think it moved for you guys. You had to just deal with it the way it was, right? You had to
Well, we dealt with it, but they had a ramp in the middle and they lowered it down completely flat. It was hydraulic and they gave us the complete flat whole giant stage. They didn't limit us at all. They said, go crazy guys, have fun with this. And
you came out, I remember you guys played Coming At You Live. I remember because the lights go down in the arena. And you guys came out and you had your hair actually up in hats.
Yeah.
Now almost in disguise. I was like, whoa, wait, what's going on? Yeah. But then all of a sudden, pow, by the time the chorus, all this big hair, there they were, Frank Hannon and Tommy Skeoch, baby. And we all knew who you were. I mean, with MTV back then, that's the only way that was even possible,
Oh,
Modern Day Cowboy, all those songs.
Man, that was such a great era. Headbangers Ball, MTV was playing metal music and rock music. Yeah, it was a great era. And we had already done a tour with David Lee Roth on the Eat 'Em and Smile tour.
Wow.
Which was so huge at the time. I mean, and again, I was so young. It was mind blowing. But I had worked a job as a trash guy picking up junk off of construction sites, picking up lumber and sheetrock debris and taking it to the dump. That was my job. And Modern Day Cowboy was on the radio, and I was going to the dump. And that's because our manager, again, Peter Minch and Cliff Bernstein, those managers decided to wait and put us on the arena tour on Modern Day Cowboy, which ended up being the David Lee Roth tour. And as soon as we got that phone call, man, I quit that job so quick. They were throwing sheetrock at me. Get out of here.
Yeah, they all knew it. I mean, when your band's on the radio and you're at work, they knew you were going to be a star.
Yeah, they were making fun of me, but it was a great era, man. And so yeah, you had heard of us from Headbangers Ball, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, back at the time we used to have Rock 102.1 before it was Rock 105.3 here in San Diego, and Little Susie was the first song I remember on the radio, but on Headbangers Ball, Modern Day Cowboy was the first one I remembered. And for me, not having a lot of money myself, I would have to tape this stuff off the radio with either a cassette tape. If you guys were on, I did buy Mechanical Resonance. That was one of the few albums, LPs I was able to get. And I did buy Great Radio Controversy. I saw the opening for Def Leppard. And then on Great Radio Controversy, I saw you guys with Great White, I think, and Kicks maybe.
Yeah.
I was in the front row for that. I remember I pulled a guitar pick off of Brian Wheat's bass that I probably still have around here somewhere. But now tell me about your instruments, because you've always had such a great, rock tone playing Gibsons. And it's you always knew what the good gear was. What's your history with guitar equipment and how did you even obtain some of that stuff I saw you with back then?
Well, yeah, when I was a kid, my first guitar that I saved up for was a Strat, a 78 Strat. I bought it in in 78. It was used at the time, and I had a Sears Silvertone amp, and I blew that amp up really quickly, turning it up too loud. I was playing a gig at the Moose Lodge when I was 12. But man, I just had the dream of getting a Marshall head. You know, that was every kid's dream at that time. And I was taught really early to if you want something, you had to work for it, because my family was pretty poor. So my stepdad taught me to push a lawnmower around, and I had a paper route for a while, and I just worked. I would work and save my money, and got my hands on an SG, and I had a Washburn, and I just was always, you know, really interested in trying to get the best gear possible at a young age.
SG was a good guitar. I remember being able to score one for about $900 back in the 90s, even used, of course, but like in great condition.
Yeah.
Now it's just unobtainable for most kids to own a Gibson.
Yeah, no, this was back in like 82, and I got an SG for like $250 at a pawn shop. There was pawn shops downtown Sacramento I used to go to. But I've always really loved, you know, Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin and the different guitars. Every guitar has a different sound. So I remember the first time I ever got a Telecaster, man, I just loved the way that sounded. I recorded on the Tesla's first album a lot of songs with a Telecaster, because it's got a certain sound that you can't get from any other guitar. And then, you know, of course, back then, the Eddie Van Halen, Floyd Rose stuff was really popular. So I had gotten a Warmoth guitar kit and put it together. And
right.
Yeah, I've always dabbled with all kinds of different things, and just put the work and effort into doing it. You know, I don't know.
You earned it. But like, from what I'm hearing, man, there was some pretty extraordinary deals you could get back then. Had you known, you could have like bought more stuff back then just to hang on to, because it's obviously exponentially increased in value since then. You probably still have most of your guitars.
Funny story. You know, when Guns N' Roses came out, and Alan Niven, their manager, bought the Les Paul for Slash. And, you know, Slash changed the world with that, man. That when that Les Paul was on Sweet Child of Mine and Welcome to the Jungle, that all of a sudden Les Pauls became popular again.
Right.
Well, that Les Paul, when we would go to LA, before Alan Niven bought it for Slash, I used to look at it. It was hanging on the wall, and Guitars R Us. And the guy told me that it wasn't really a Gibson. It was a
Hondo or something.
It was a copy that a guy had made to look exactly like a 59 Les Paul, because back then 59 Les Pauls were really hard to find. They didn't make reissues of them. Gibson hadn't discovered the whole craze of reissues and historic models and all that yet. And in fact, in 1980, 1982, 83, Gibson guitars was hurting, because Eddie Van Halen was popular, and Kramer and Charvel and Jackson and all that stuff was really popular, and Gibsons weren't really very popular. But, you know, guys that loved classic rock like me, or you know, Steve Clark from Def Leppard, he loved Gibsons. And so I was always a fan of Jimmy Page, or you know, Angus with the AC/DC with the
Hell
SG.
yeah.
So I would drool over that Les Paul and wanted to get it. And then one day it was gone and I didn't get it. And then I went and saw Guns N' Roses playing at the Roxy, and Slash was playing it. And man, he made history with it. So I'm sure glad he got it.
So do you think that's why it sounds like a kazoo? Do you think it sounds like a kazoo because it's not a Gibson?
Oh, I'm not really breaking any secrets. I think, you know, people in the guitar community know about that story, about it being a recreation of a historic. I mean, it's just a beautiful sunburst reissue of a 1959-60 style Les Paul.
Right.
So
and with you,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask it now. You actually, there is like a Les Paul SG that I think you have, right? It's actually would be considered a Les Paul, but it's that SG shape
Yeah, but, you know, when they first invented the SG, they were calling it the Les Paul
Right.
at the time, and then they changed it to SG because Les himself didn't like the guitar and wanted his name taken off of it.
Yeah, it's a trip. I love it. It's beautiful. Like you said, Angus Young's probably the first guy. Later, I would see Jimmy Page playing it as well. And to me, it's like a beautiful female. Just the shape
Really
of it.
curves to it. My favorite player is Frank Marino from Mahogany Rush.
Yeah. Now, I did notice at this residency, tell me if I'm not mistaken, you're wearing a pair of pants that were definitely inspired by Jimmy Page.
Oh, those black bell bottoms.
You had some Page pants on, man. It was cool. I can dig it. We love Piercy Band. We love Led Zeppelin. Those guys really, I mean, I always loved Led Zeppelin. Obviously, I'm 50. They've been around my whole life. But those guys got me back into it, being that they're even, 15 years older than me. That's all we listen to out on the road. So I really got a Jimmy Page myself. I do some of the moves. I do like the,
Yeah.
blow out. And,
come on. Yeah. He did that thing with his hands where he'd be all woo with the theremin and yeah. Well, that song remains the same. Movie, when we were kids, man, it was playing at the Midnight Movie Theater, and every weekend we'd go to that.
How about when The West Was One? When The West Was One came out on DVD, we all bought a copy that day. We had like 5 copies of that going around the bus, but it was so phenomenal to see like some different shots of that show, the Madison Square Garden show that we're never seen. It was like so cool.
Yeah.
So
music of the 70s in general, we're very lucky. I feel very lucky to have been a kid during that era, and I did a little tribute epitaph thing about Gary Rosington a couple days after he passed away. I was asked to tell some stories about how I felt about Gary, and I was talking about the 70s and the airwaves, man. The radio, FM radio was so great. I mean, you would hear Frampton Comes Alive, you would hear Slow Ride by Foghat, then you would hear Freebird, and then you would hear, Dreamweaver by Gary Wright. I mean, the music was so good.
Say, well, you guys are doing a residency now. You guys are doing a residency now. You announced another one for later in the year. Is this kind of like the future of Tesla, or what's your plans going down the road?
Hey, what's going on? We haven't heard from you yet. Your name
I'm sitting here like trying to get a word in. You guys are talking about
this is our buddy Seth. So you know what's going on, Frank. CHRIS Akin, our fearless leader, fell ill. So, but this was such a huge show for us tonight. We had Kip Winger on tonight. We had you on tonight, and the show had to happen. And we were fortunate that Seth, who has a show on our network, was able to step in for Chris. So this is Seth, Frank Hannon.
I saw you back at the MGM in Cleveland, Ohio a few months back, and it was a fucking amazing show. But I know that you guys, I think, are coming back sometime this year, but then you have another residency. What, you guys going to keep touring? What's the deal?
Oh yeah, man. I think the part of your question was, is that the future of Tesla? I mean, I don't know what the future holds, man. All I know is that Tesla is more productive now than ever. We just came out with a lyric video and a new single for a song called Time to Rock, which is really edgy. We're producing ourselves now after going through so many different producers and situations. Now we're totally independent. We just produced a recording of a live album that's coming out this Memorial Day weekend. Recorded it at Full Throttle Saloon at Sturgis last year.
Right.
And it sounds great. It's got all our heavy tracks like Miles Away on it. It's just really pounding. Brian Wheat mixed it, and I kind of produced it with my ideas. And so we worked together. Brian Wheat and myself are working together more now. We've always worked together, but now it's just on 10, man. I mean, we produced Cold Blue Steel. I saw you played that video just a minute ago.
That's right.
Which I directed that video. So we're hands-on. The residency is just one little thing. We're coming back in October. We're really excited because we sold this one out. They invited us back. We're doing Monsters of Rock cruise.
By the way, I'm doing the Monsters of Rock cruise too, bro.
All right.
Saxon couldn't be there, and so Stephen Piercy band is pulling in, which of course I'm his longtime guitarist. This is the first cruise I've ever been on in my life, so I definitely wanted to ask you what I should expect. I mean, is this a fun time for you? I know you've done the cruise many times.
It is a great time. Be prepared that it's going to be 24/7, bro. Thousands of people in your face. You can't leave your room without walking to one bar or to the next lounge or stage after. It is constant, man. There's music. There's one show in the theater going on, and then you go to the balcony and there's a show playing out on the deck at the pool. It's freaking awesome. You're going to love it.
It got me out of the doghouse, as I was saying, it's tough being a music man, having relationships. I have my share of troubles with my lady, but when this cruise thing came up, all those went by the wayside. She is like, you get to bring a guest on this when you're in the band.
Yeah. Good.
And so I'm bringing my lady on this. She's bought all these outfits. She's like, she's so excited about this. She's like counting down the days. I just know we got to play, I think at least like 2 concerts, right? That happen. I guess they're a couple days apart.
Yeah. So you'll be out there with Stephen Piercy, huh? That's great news, man. Well, I look forward to hanging with you.
And I'm so excited. Obviously, your band, I'll be at both shows, of course. But I'm a little weird. I might have to disguise myself to kind of like walk around the place. I was watching on YouTube. I was telling, because Kip's going to be there too, our guest earlier, Kip Winger. But I was telling him that on YouTube, there's Monsters of Rock videos that you can kind of get a vibe of what's gone on in past years. But I noticed poor Sebastian Bach was like at the bar trying to get a drink, and you just see fans just one after the other just poking the guy.
Oh yeah, it's
like,
awesome. You get hungry at 2 a.m. and you go down to the buffet and it's just packed in there. Everyone's eating and after partying all night, and it's like a nonstop 24/7 party. We've done a ton of them, and I used to play extra shows and do my solo things and play acoustic and do all this crazy stuff. Now, after doing so many of them, I'm probably only going to just do Tesla, and that's it. And Tesla only plays at theater now. We don't do these outdoor pool shows anymore, man. I'll tell you a story. We were playing on the pool, and the ocean wind was blowing so hard. Our Marshall stacks got knocked over. The cymbal stand went flying. The lights are swinging like this, it was crazy. So hopefully you're not going to be playing out at the pool too much in the middle of the night.
You're giving me Titanic vibes, Frank.
I'm seeing a Titanic behind you there. What's going on with that?
Chris Akin wasn't feeling so good, and he went to the back of the ship, and because of his weight, it kind of made the whole thing just...
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, so Seth, what about you, man? Are you going to be on Monsters of Rock cruise, buddy?
Man, I wish I could get on something like that. God, man, I did rock radio for over a decade, and I deserve a cruise like that.
Seth, guess how much the tickets are.
Cruises. I was going to ask, how do people get on these things?
It's expensive, dude. Like, it's I think close to $2,000 a head for fans to go, but they're like so into it. The same people go on this every year, and they're like almost like a cult in a way.
Yeah, it sounds amazing though. I mean, it does. I mean, how cool could it be being with all you guys and partying? I was telling Erik earlier, man. I'm a fan guy. I'm a huge fan of you. I'm a huge fan of Tesla. My wife and I, our song is to you guys. And
Love song. It was their wedding song.
So really? I mean, yeah.
Yes, sir.
And, we got married in Vegas. I mean, so we, she's an old 80s rocker and loves that kind of stuff, and so am I. And it's just cool being able to talk to you. But being on a cruise like that seems like fucking amazing. It just does. I mean,
Well, yeah,
that's cool.
Great bands playing one after.
Yeah.
And imagine like being at a Rocklahoma or an M3 festival, but you're out on a ship and it's just nonstop.
I will say this though, I do miss. You guys did come to the MGM, and you guys are one of the few bands I've actually seen come around and not play these big, huge festivals. I wish rock music and rock radio would do more stuff like that. Have bands playing local clubs and bands playing gigs around
Well,
town more than
they don't
do.
happen all the time in Ohio, but I mean, just this year, I think we've been on the same bill as Tesla for at least a couple festivals already. I mean, they do happen, but as you said, sometimes it's in Sturgis and places like that. Where you played is the only place to play. The Full Throttle Saloon. Don't bother playing anywhere else. We always end up at some other campground and no one's there, and I got bugs flying in my mouth, and it's just depressing.
Yeah, Full Throttle's great, man. And Jesse and the crew out there, man, they're rock and rollers. But did I tell you? So our new album is called Full Throttle Live, and it's recorded there, and it's really rocking. I'm really proud of it. And on there is going to be a bonus track that we recorded in my garage live of an old Aerosmith song called SOS Too Bad. And we're playing that in our show now, and it's just so much fun, man.
Hell
if you
yeah.
go to the Instagram page or Tesla Instagram, you can see a piece of us playing it. And Jeff Keith, singer, man, he's like Steven Tyler's little stepchild.
I was telling Seth that I did get to meet Jeff before. And would you agree that what you see on stage is him 100%? Like he's the same way, like off the stage. He's just always he's got so much energy all the time.
Wiry little guy, man, no doubt.
Love him though. All you guys are so personable and cool. So I could see that the Monsters of Rock cruise has been a special time. Will continue to be a special time. And we're blessed to be able to keep doing this, you know?
We are, man. We certainly are. I mean, I never thought 40 years ahead, back when we were talking about that Leopard tour and I was only 19 and, I'm in my late 50s now, but I feel younger than ever. And one of the other keys, and I don't want to get on a preaching trip, but one of the other keys you talk about Tesla sounding good these days is because we cut the booze and the bullshit, the drugs and everything out. We've cut all that out. And it enables us to really focus on the music and to feel good. We're not like fighting hangovers in the show anymore.
Right.
So sobriety on the road really has helped us a lot.
Piercy's not drank in a good couple years now. And to be supportive, we initially stopped drinking for that reason around him. But I found that I'm the same way. Like I don't drink at any of the Piercy shows, to be honest, because we have such like weird schedules. I couldn't imagine having to, get up 3 hours of sleep to catch a flight or these things and being hungover. Like those days are over, man.
I've done that so many times, and so many times. And I feel like, we're in the last quarter of our career and I want it to be the best it can be. And so I don't miss the feeling of drinking or being hungover or having regrets or any of that bullshit that goes along with it,
Right. You never took that on stage though, man. Tesla has always delivered. And even with the lineup changes, it's the band's super solid. Tell us about Dave Rood. I mean, he's the latest, not the latest. The drummer change is probably the latest change you guys have had going on, but tell us about the new guys and how they fit into all this.
Well, the three original guys, me and Brian started the band, and then Jeff came and he's been with us. Jeff, Brian, and myself are the three original core members of Tesla. And that goes to songwriting from the beginning, I mean, Tommy played a big part in the songwriting as well, but yeah, Dave's been with us, 17 years now, I think. It seems like, yesterday when I found him on MySpace.
I forget because he has a vibe similar,
Tommy was a natural rock star, very photogenic, right. And Dave is that way, just a natural.
They are very similar. They're cut from the same cloth, right? So I think that's why I didn't notice for so long. Natural
groove. And I auditioned a bunch of guys for a few years and in hopes that Tommy would get it together, but that's another story. But I looked and looked and looked. And when I found Dave and we played together, it's all in you're a guitar player, it's all in that right hand and the feel of the rhythm. Rhythm guitar is the most important. I don't care how much noodling you can do. If you can't play rhythm guitar, then forget it. And Dave nailed the rhythm guitar parts perfect. From day one, I knew he was the guy to fill the shoes, and he looks great. And overall, the most important thing is having a positive, refreshing attitude and he's got that. And that's what Steve Brown has: positive energy, positive attitude, an amazing drummer. And he is Mick Brown's little drummer. So, I mean, little brother.
Little brother, right. And I just learned that like maybe a month ago. I didn't even know he had a brother, but he does, and the dude rocks.
Well, you probably don't know this either, but Mick Brown and George Lynch are from Northern California, up by Sacramento, which is where we're from. And they moved to LA and became famous in Dawkins. But before that, they lived up in Northern California. And little Stevie Brown is his younger brother, used to come hang out at the clubs, and I've known him forever. So he's been a member of our Tesla family for a long time. He's played shows with us off and on when Troy couldn't make it. So he was the logical, perfect match for the job. And he does a great job, man. He just drives the band. Great energy, you know, as good, if not better than his brother on drums. So
yeah.
Great.
That's so cool. I'm so happy that you guys are able to run on all cylinders. It's amazing. I'm super excited about Monsters of Rock. As I said, I'll be right there for those shows. Even if I don't plays, I'll definitely come out to watch Tesla play.
Well, yeah, I hope to run into you, and I'll come check you out now that I know you're in Steven's band, man. And
I know you guys like to rat and roll, man. Come on.
Oh, hell yeah. Rat was a huge influence on Tesla. I mean, we're talking about 1982 and the twin guitar band vibe, trading solos. The song Round and Round is a freaking masterpiece. A Wanted Man, Back for More. I mean, that acoustic guitar and all that. I mean,
you guys did similar like augmented chords on like Modern Day Cowboy and things like that. Had those vibes.
Rat influenced us, Night Ranger. You know, all that early 80s, man. Randy Rhoads was a huge influence. Quiet Riot, man. We used to play all that stuff when we were kids, you know. So I love to come hear you play. And now, Seth, are you in Las Vegas? Is that the vibe I'm picking up on?
No, man. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, of all places.
Okay.
He's in East Palestine. You might have heard of it.
About an hour from East Palestine, Ohio. Yeah, but, you know, Cleveland, you know, home of rock and roll, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city.
According to Huey Lewis.
Oh, Dayton, Ohio. I just played a show in Ohio, an acoustic show. I love Ohio.
Yeah,
and you guys played at the MGM Casino, and it was an amazing show. The only thing I don't like about like the casino show, you're on for like half hour, 35 minutes because they want you to quit playing, so everybody goes and spends their money at the freaking casino. So you know, I would love to be on that ship. I'd love to be seeing you guys, but you guys do a hell of a show and a good job. And you know,
Tesla's a band that puts on a long show.
Yeah.
Like you guys have done, what's the longest gig Tesla's played? Like a 4-hour show or something, right? I mean,
yeah, we used to do that. We used to play extended stuff, and we would open our show with War Pigs, and you know, we'd do 2.5, 3-hour sets. But you know, we're older now, man. We got to pay.
That's right. The crowds are older. It's not even you guys, you know, it's like the crowds are older, and you have to take that into consideration. Like a lot of them can't stand for more than an hour. You know, that seems to be our sweet spot for, you know, at Piercy shows. Even we're supposed to play like 75 minutes, but we just come in and we just give them like a good hour of rat ass kicking and get out.
Yeah, make the crowd want more, man. You want them to, you know, keep wanting more.
That's right. And we're going to give them more on the Monsters of Rock cruise. So I think there's some tickets left for this.
For more.
You sail away. You're back for more.
You guys better post some videos, man. I want to see some videos of this stuff that goes on that cruise.
Oh, that's all people do is post videos from that thing. I hope they don't get a video of my wig blowing off out there if we have to play on the deck. I want to be in the theater with Tesla.
On that. Who's playing bass in your band?
Currently, we have Matt Thorne, who was the bassist in Rough Cut. He was actually the original bassist in Mickey Rat when Jakey Lee was in the band.
Hey, I just saw Jakey Lee at the Tesla show Saturday night. He was at the House of Blues. He came and saw.
Hell yeah.
We were having some great conversations about Badlands and how we toured together with Great White back in 1990 when Tesla was headlining arenas, and I don't know if it was that tour or it might have been the doubleheader tour with Great White when Badlands was opening for us. And it was great to see Jake again. And we talked about Rat and Warren DeMartini and George Lynch, and we're having a great conversation.
All the West Coast rockers, which, you know, we owe a gratitude.
Yeah, we hung out with Sebastian Bach the other day. That was really cool. He came to our show, and then he invited us to go record store shopping with him. And we went to a vinyl store here in Las Vegas with Sebastian Bach, and that was really fun, man. What a great guy.
Dude, let's go get some records, dude.
Yeah, man, look at that. Dude.
He's a big fan. Obviously, you know, as most people know, Sebastian Bach is probably the biggest fan / rock star. So
he is. He loves it, man. He loves Kiss. I'll tell you that.
He's a Kiss tard, big time.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Frank. Well, thank you so much, my brother, for coming on and sharing stories with us. It meant a lot. Our show has taken on a whole new legitimacy today. With Kip Winger and Frank Hannon on here. Come on.
Wow, I don't deserve it, but thank you. And thank you, all you Tesla fans, for listening to our songs. And, you know, if I do have any pride in this craziness, it's in the songs. I'm proud of the songs that we wrote because Jeff Keith, our singer, kept it real from his heart. And I'm proud of our songs, and I'm really happy to still be able to play them live and do what we're doing.
We're proud of you, man. Tesla's like our Peter Frampton of my generation. You
Absolutely,
know what I mean?
Mine too.
So.
All right.
Thank you, brother.
Skinner.
That's right. All right, Frank. You take care, buddy, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, man. It's a good dude.
Wow.
Do you want to wrap it up now, I guess?
Yeah, we're about that time, man, but we need to take a minute to reflect on today's show because that was pretty fantastic. I mean, not as fantastic as it would have been if Chris Akin showed up to the Chris Akin show.
Yeah, you know. I'm sorry if I didn't hang like Chris, I apologize. I told him I did not.
No, you totally hung. And how cool is Frank? He cared about you, man. He was like,
a good dude.
He's like, enough with you, man, Mohawk boy. He's like, how about this man over here with the Strat behind him?
I wanted to ask some stuff, but you guys are on a roll about the guitars, and dude, for me, again, hearing that kind of stuff is like cool because that's
dude, I could have talked to that guy for I could have talked to him for like 5 hours, but I mean, we generally wrap it up at the 2-hour mark. We know it's, that keeping the attention spans of our listeners is challenging, but you did great. And you got to divulge to him that Love Song is you and your lady's song, man. I mean, he cared about that.
But I appreciate you having me on and being here with you. It was a good time. And, again, for me, it's cool listening to you talk to a guy like that about the inner workings of being, a rock guy, dude, being a rock star and hearing about the guitars and that kind of stuff, the stuff that people don't normally get to hear. They get to hear the fluff stuff of, so how'd you become Tesla? They don't get to hear the cool shit about playing guitar and that's good stuff. I really appreciate you letting me in tonight. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're happy to have you. And we, of course, wish Chris Akin a speedy recovery.
Yes, indeed.
I'm sure you'll be seeing him on his various shows on the CMS this week, and then Saturday night classic metal show with Neely. And on Monday, we'll catch back up. We'll be sure to let everybody know who the guests are, and be sure to hit the like button tonight and subscribe to Chris Akin Presents and all the shows on the including Seth. Seth, let's talk about your show real quick. When can they watch you?
Monday and Wednesday nights, 5 to 7. Monday and Wednesday nights, 5 to 7 Eastern time, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Facebook, YouTube, CMS Network, of course, is where you want to be watching the show because
it's a double dose.
Yep. So we're having a good time doing it. It's a lot of everything. We get guys on rock stars having a good time that Chris lends us at times. And
I was politics.
On. I know you were, and you were great.
I had a flat Earth behind me.
We talk flat Earth. We talk climate change. We talk politics. We talk entertainment. We talk a little bit of everything.
Today, you got to see some pieces of the firmament.
Yes, indeed.
That I had. I mean, that's pretty dope. Oh, behold, pieces of the firmament from the sky in my hand.
See, there's a lot of people that don't believe. I do.
Well, you know what's interesting about, people use that metaphor about a glass ceiling, right?
Yes.
Now, glass could seem fragile, but also glass could be impenetrable, like bulletproof glass, perhaps. But what's most interesting is glass is made of what? Sand, surprisingly. So
there you have it. See,
there
deep thoughts as we end things tonight. So thanks again for having me on.
More you know, no one's half the battle.
Yo, Joe. See, we are the same age, man.
That's right. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in. We will see you next week on Chris Akin Presents.
See ya.
Spinning round and round. And things keep changing by the hour. Tick-tock goes the